I am in one of the short film Premiere projects, and I'd like to show you the main way that I usually categorize and organize within Premiere. This is more or less the same as I still do it, even though this was several years ago. By the way, this is the workspace layout for assembly. We could change it if we went to editing, and we could see our sequences here, but we're in assembly right now. Folder number 1 is RAW. This is where we import footage. When you're ready to import footage, you're going to put it here. The RAW folder in Premiere should perfectly mimic the way that your RAW footage is organized in your hard drives. This folder is basically just a carbon copy of that. So we have audio and all of the different individual Zoom recordings for all of the individual scenes. Now, normally, the video wouldn't look like this. Instead of having assigned scene numbers, it would just have the default clip numbers. I'll see if I can find an example to show you that. But essentially, this is exactly how the RAW footage looks in the Finder, and that is the case. We go to the RAW and we go to video. This video here is exactly this video here. It's the same thing. So that's the RAW. This is so that we can make sure that we have indeed imported 100% of our original files and that everything is accounted for. From there, you will end up creating the rest of these folders. So this is where you're going, but you won't be here yet. After you import everything, you're gonna have to synchronize it and organize it and log it and mark it, and then you're gonna have to start making timelines, and then once you're locked, then you're gonna make some sound and some credits and some color. But you're not there yet. So we're gonna make number 2, called scenes, or logged, or organized. This is the way that we want to organize the footage inside of Premiere to make it easier to edit. This one folder containing all video clips and other kinds of RAW folders that are organized by shooting date are not going to be very helpful for us trying to make a timeline that goes chronologically through the script. So we're going to want to organize our footage differently in Premiere. And we are allowed to do that in Premiere in the scenes or the logged folder. So this is organized by scene. Scene 1, the living room scene. Scene 1.5, the antique shop first time. Scene 2, today's the day. Scene 3, the antique shop the second time. And scene 4, the final scene. Within here, you'll see that these don't look like video clips. This is what a video clip looks like. That icon is not a video clip. This is what an audio clip looks like. That's not that either. This is a multicam clip. Now, it might be confusing when I click on it, and there's only one camera. To be honest, this might be an old force of habit from when things went wrong for me many years ago. Probably Premiere has fixed this at this point. One day, years and years ago, when I was still fairly new, in fact, I might have still been an intern, we opened up our project in which we were using merged clips, which is the typical way to synchronize one camera and one audio file, and they wouldn't play back. They just were seemingly gone, and there was no way to get them to function. And the editors who knew way more than me, who'd been editing for years, problem solved, I think literally for like 2 days, and they could not fix the problem. There was some big bug at the time with Premiere. Now, I don't remember all the details of that story. I don't remember exactly what the problems actually were. I do feel like I've had multiple problems with merged clips over several years. And so at this point, it's just been safer for me to do multicams. Multicams are more versatile than merged clips, but they function essentially the same. And there is no penalty, there's no real reason why you wouldn't just use a multicam instead of a merged clip. So I'm going to show you really quickly how to make a merged clip, but I'm not going to recommend that you do it. I'm just going to say make multicams, because that's how I do it, and that's how I've always done it, and it's kept me safe. I haven't lost synchronized clips ever since I've made all of my synchronized clips be multicams. This multicam was created from the footage above. So this is logged. This is where the description of your scenes go. This is where all of your different takes go. If this was a professional commercial and I had even more footage than just these small 5 scenes, I would have descriptions of every clip here. Folder 3 is timelines. This is where you put your sequences. Typically when I'm doing a bigger project like this, I get a little overwhelmed trying to make the whole thing at once. I try to take it in bite-sized pieces. So usually the first folder that I'll do is scenes, and I'll have my different iterations of every scene. So you can see I had a first version and a second version of my Antique Shop 2 scene. So I messed with the scenes and I did them a few times. And then I finally took all of those different scene sequences and I compiled them together into the full film. And then I have a bunch of different versions of the full film. You can see here, film V9 has sound and film V11 has color. So full film 8 is our locked cut. This is where the edit was no longer going to move. We weren't going to add or delete frames. We weren't going to rearrange anything. This was how the story looked. And we made that decision to lock so that our sound engineer and our colorist could spend time in the last few hours of the festival polishing the sound and the color so that it looked good. Then we took all of their work and we incorporated them back into these other timelines. Sound folder. We acquired copyright-free sound effects off of the internet, and this is where we put them. We also had to fix some scenes in post-production after we were done filming, and so we recorded our characters speaking their lines and put them in the voiceover folder. We had to make credits. Somebody did. So this is where we kept the clip of all of the credits rolling. Now, normally you don't get a full export from start to finish from color, but we were in a rush and this was the fastest way the colorist knew to get us an accurate export. So he sent us one massive clip that was the entire film start to finish with his coloring on top. So we just incorporated that and we laid it on top. So I like this way of organizing in Premiere because it's a visual workflow. You start by importing all of your raw footage. Then you synchronize it, organize it, log it, and mark it up so that it's easy to edit with. Then you start doing all of your edits. And then as you start acquiring more assets to put into your edit, you categorize them appropriately by department. Let's look at a couple other examples just to kind of see the differences in how I've adapted per project. This is another short film that I worked on. And you can see that the organization is very similar, only flip-flopped a little bit. Now instead of raw, it's raw media. Instead of scenes, it's organized media. And instead of timelines, it's sequences. But raw is still the same purpose. Organized media is still the same purpose as logged or scenes. And sequences is still the same purpose as timelines. It's just moved down to the bottom. So we have raw media, where we import the raw original crude assets. Organized media, where we synchronize, organize, log, and mark. And then our graphics, our visual effects, and our sound design that needed to be incorporated at different points. And our sequences, where we actually made our assembly edits, went through the rough cut and fine cut stages, locked, and then incorporated all of the finishing touches. This is more how raw footage typically looks. It's the day, sometimes this would even be the date, but at least it's the day that it was filmed on. There were 2 days of shooting, so day 1 and day 2. And then the video itself is just the raw naming convention that came out of the camera. This was Mag 1. Is this the date? I don't even think that's the date. I think it's like Mag 1, a bunch of random numbers, and then clip 1. And that's how raw footage looks. This is not very editing friendly. So what we did was we took the first raw audio clip and the first raw video clip and we synchronized them into a multicam. Now this is the gas station exterior and it's outdoor 1. This is much more friendly to edit with. The short film was really interesting because there weren't really a lot of scenes. It was kind of just like one really long scene. So I guess we ended up organizing by wides, and then we tried to break it down by scene, like section of script a little bit, and then close-ups of all the different characters. That's a little bit more unconventional. That's not quite as intuitive, I think, but it worked for us. And you can see motion graphics, Premiere native assets, stills, visual effects. There were no visual effects, I guess. Sound design and sequences. And then there was assembly edits, and then there was a finishing, and then there were finishing edits. Okay, let's move away from narrative work, and let's talk about a corporate event. Let me explain what I'm doing really quickly. If footage has been moved from the original location where Premiere knew how to find it, it will no longer be located. It'll be offline. So you have to tell Premiere where it is now. You have to link the media. So it's asking for track 1 of wave 1, which used to be in the Master 2021 Celebration O2 Media Audio Afternoon. Okay, so I'm going to locate it. I'm going to go to my raw here. So 2021 Celebration Media, and I'm just going to hit search and it should find it itself. No, it's not going to. Okay. Maybe in raw search. There it is. Okay, you can see it automatically found a bunch of stuff, but it didn't find everything. These are just PowerPoint slides, so I'm going to offline these for now. Okay, I'm going to be honest with you. This one is a little bit of a mess. So I have sequences first, and then all other media next. Okay, so if you look at the initial multicam sync, I'm just going to open this up in the timeline. You can hit left click, open in timeline to see the multicam. Pretty much the entire day was recorded right on top of itself. There was at least one device recording for literally almost 9 hours straight. So this is not your typical short film record, start, stop, start, stop. I had to process 9 hours of footage. So the way that I elected to do that was to first allow Premiere to try to automatically synchronize as much as possible in one multicam. And so I told Premiere when I set up the multicam to move processed clips to a processed clips bin. That way I could forget about everything that had processed correctly. So this processed clips bin holds most of these clips, and I was able to forget about it at that point. So that doesn't accurately reflect the way that the RAW is organized in Finder, but this was by far the most efficient way of synchronizing 9 hours of consistent recording time. Then I was able to take the last few things and synchronize them manually to everything else. Because it's 9 hours of straight recording, people were going up and going down, and it's just kind of one consistent take. So I basically took this big multicam, and then I broke it up into different sections with individual speakers speaking after each other. So you open this up, and this green line is a section from this multicam cleanup. So you see I'm selected on sample 2. If I right click and I hit reveal in project, it pulls up this all multicam. So you use a multicam like a clip, right? So this green clip here, if I pull all into this timeline, you can see it's now using it as a clip. This massive timeline with all of its different takes. So this is what a multicam looks like. So if I open this multicam here, you can see at this point in time on the timeline, all three of these cameras were recording at the same time. We have a wide, a medium, and a tight. You can see that they're synchronized. She's doing the same movement with all three.